and we start seeing the aggregation coming into a market, so we get aggregation here, then a transition on that candle would simply be to use this concept of the 50-line reversal coming in. So there's the transition trade there. You can see obviously if we then break it down through that price area there, we get the transition and we're trading away. Now that's obviously a price action transition. That's a price action transition. Now obviously in terms of an order flow transition, it's slightly different, isn't it? In terms of an order flow transition, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a lean, we're trying to get a volume, we're trying to get something that we can transition into. So basically an order flow transition, which we don't actually get much of, to be honest, on that occasion there. The sell came in the selling phase, but there was a hell of a lot of delta that was simply going nowhere at the top edge up here. So hold on a second, I'll just put an order flow narrative on this. Okay, so in terms of order flow transitions, there wasn't anything that really stood out on the S&P. This is a 5-second chart, by the way, guys, a 5-second chart on this one. So there wasn't any particularly strong order flow that stood out in here, so we've just got to try and find our best transition. Well, in the early stages, our best transition would have been this buy side delta here, this imbalance of delta just there. That would have been our transition price. And when the price goes up, you can see it kind of exhausts. In fact, it doesn't kind of exhaust, it exhausts. And then we see another possibly improving our price by one single tick just here. You can see that there is a buyer getting jammed in there, another 50-lot buyer getting jammed at that price, giving ourselves a transition at 4177. Well, if you compare that 4177 transition to where the order flow transition was, which was simply breaking the balance of this top to bottom area, which would have been a transition around about 4176, you can see that using an order flow transition at 77 would have got you your sell trade almost top ticking the top price, wasn't it? Almost top ticking the top price, which is pretty good stuff. As you can probably imagine, it's pretty good stuff. Now, in terms of the transition, we're always looking for these transition candles. You can see that we get another transition coming in here. We don't ever transition back through. We get another transition here. We get another transition candle. Eventually, we transition through this area here. And obviously, that's, if you wanted to take it as a buy trade, you'd have taken it as a buy trade after we transition through that phase there. And obviously, a little buy reversal for that transition trade there. Now, that was a good sell. The sell came in at 76, 77s. It got down to 60s. Got down to 60, which is that's a pretty big profit, by the way, for that live call. I mean, I know it's not quite $1,000, but it's not far off it. It's not far off it, is it? So that transition's just been scratched out, so you're obviously back on pause. There's no value analysis on this one. It's purely transitional analysis. There's no value analysis doing this type of phase. It's purely done based on the market makers' trade narratives. Based on the market makers' trade narratives. That's all it is. So you've just been scratched out for a zero on that trade, and that's the end of that transition, guys. No more trades on that one. You'll wait for the next transition for an order flow transition trade narrative. Pretty straightforward. Sure, pretty straightforward. I think we can all take that one.